A very good afternoon to one and all in this special public webinar, which is being jointly organized by the National Academy of Sciences India Delhi chapter and Deendayal Upadhyay College University of Delhi under the aegis of the DBT Star College program. Today we have with us Dr. Malapakka Chandrasekharam, who is a senior principal scientist and professor, Department of Polymers and Functional Materials. He's also chair of Department of Knowledge and Information Management, CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. He'll be talking to us on the topic ethics in learning and practicing science. We also have with us Dr. Sudhir Verma. He is a faculty member in Department of Zoology in our college. And I request Dr. Sudhir to kindly introduce Dr. Chandrasekharam to the attendees.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, and a very good afternoon to one and all present here. It's an honor to introduce Dr. Chandrasekharam to all the participants. Dr. Chandrasekharam is presently a senior principal scientist at the CSIR Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. He has been working at IICT since 2002 and published over 100 articles in international journals. He trained 10 PhD students and 2 of them worked in prestigious Marie Curie Fellowship under European Union. He delivered several lectures in national and international conferences in India and abroad. He has been actively involved in all major projects on dye-sensitized solar cells funded by DST UK, DST EU, and CSIR MNRE. He made significant research contributions in this area and achieved certified world record efficiency of 11.4% in PSSCs, employing the co-absorbent designed and developed at IICT. He is honored with the prestigious Humboldt Fellowship in the year 2003-2004, Germany, guest researcher, Japan, and visiting scientist position at Gujarat Energy Research Management Institute, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. He has been a recipient of CRSI Bronze Medal in the year 2018, and he is a fellow of Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences, Telangana Academy of Sciences, Royal Society of Chemistry, etc. He served as Technical Advisory Committee member during the year 2013 and 16 for Solar Energy Center ARCI, Hyderabad. He visited US, UK, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Taiwan, etc. It's an honor and privilege to have you with us today, sir. Over to you.
Thank you.
Over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhir.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much. At the outset, let me thank Professor Manoj Saxena and his entire team at the Deendayal Upadhyay College and National Academy of Sciences India Delhi chapter for giving me this opportunity to give this talk, a 30-minute talk on ethics in learning and practicing science under the aegis of DBT Star College program. And I invite all the students to this today's talk. As you see, I come from Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. He's one of the about 40 research laboratories, national research laboratories under CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. It's very relevant. We are just 5 days away from Teachers' Day, 5th September, and we all have the responsibility to pray God and pray our gurus for bestowing the knowledge and making us what we are today. This applies as this goes Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Guru Allah, Guru Jesus Christ, Guru Nanak, Guru Mahavir, and all faiths and people who believe in all faiths, they consider Guru as the God. So we should continue to do it as per our culture of tradition of India. And the outline of the talk goes like this: quotes of education on about Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's quote, followed by Swami Vivekananda quote and Mahatma Gandhiji's, and education, the teacher-student transactions, and morals, ethics, etiquette, and laws, and what are ethics and ethical learning, threats and major causes of concern, and pursuit of science for knowledge, and the way forward are conclusions. Coming to Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's quote, you can see on the screen. Education should be imparted with a view to the type of society that we wish to build. We are working for a modern democracy built on the values of human dignity and equality. These are only ideals. We should make them living forces. Our vision of the future should include these great principles. What he says is, today's education, we should formulate such that our vision, our future vision is met with, our future visions are realized. The education should be such that all the future visions are realized. This is the quote from Swami Vivekananda. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs right there, undigested all your life. We must have life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. Mahatma Gandhiji's statement about education is, by education, I mean an all around drawing out best in child and man, body, mind and soul. You can see all these quotes, they don't say just imparting of education is not just a flow of knowledge or just learning. It is beyond learning, beyond flow of knowledge. So coming to the education or ethics in learning, learning warrants an interaction between a teacher and a student. So teacher to student, knowledge flow should be there, that is essential. And also there are a lot of desirable situations where the student should have a keen interest to listen to the teacher. He should have utmost respect towards the teacher. He should trust the teacher. In other words, he should completely surrender to the ideal teacher. At the same time, teacher should inculcate discipline in the student. He also should show how to behave, not only in the class, out of the class too. And also he should guide him throughout his life. He should be able to guide him, whatever he teaches, it should be a guidance for him throughout his life. To guide children in learning a culture, see, a culture should be taught, and he should be able to mold the behavior of the child, and should be directing towards eventual role in the society. He should know, the student should know how to behave in the society, how to sustain himself, respecting parents, teachers, and people around him, neighbors, and nation, and the whole humankind. So the carving out a responsible citizen requires a knowledge and skill imparting from the teacher, no doubt. What this knowledge and skill should do? What are the expectations of a student in a class is essentially employability with attractive salary these days. Earlier, it's not very important attractive salary, but these days, because of the luxuries around the society, the kind of technology development, we definitely need attractive salary to buy all those things. And also, of course, to have a comfortable living, and also entrepreneurial leadership. Not all people like to have been employed, but some people want to start their own business and grow, and they in turn give employment to other people. And at the same time, employability with life skills and happy living are also very important. There should be a balance between happy living and also a serious career. unless there is a balance, these days the employees or the very bright young people cannot manage the failures. Of course, it is easy to manage success for anybody. So the primary task of education would be to mold future generations as competent human beings. See, the most important thing here, competent human beings, one should note this. With high books and with several other means. But to make a student a competent human beings, a direct interaction is required. A teacher to student direct interaction is very essential to mold the future generations into competent human beings, which is required for the not only for the nation, for the entire globe. Particularly in higher education, you see, the students who go for higher education, they are going to make the academic leadership. So it should be so serious, the higher education, inducting the ethical values and other moral values, etc., should be so serious in higher education that they should make perfect academic leadership, which will in turn lead the entire country, not only in terms of technology, but also in terms of economy and also competence and also the defense in all respects. The ethical consideration should be placed high in these higher education institutions so that the country attains appropriate ethical standards. That shows the nation's ethical, overall nation's ethical standards and the kind of life people lead. And the ethical aspects of human behavior is also very important. Apart from the business ethics and learning ethics and employee ethics, the general human behavior is the most important. The ethical aspects of general human behavior, for which the training should be given to all people in the areas of humanities, history, and social sciences. You can browse these education policies of our nation. The Dr. Radhakrishna Commission, Ramamurthy Committee, and other commissions on education have stressed the need for developing core values such as love, compassion, social order based on truth and non-violence. This truth and non-violence are the most important thing. I will come to that a little later. Among the students at a tender age, in order to carve them out into fully matured, responsible citizens. See, there are a few synonym kind of things here: the morals, ethics, etiquette, and law. See, law, everybody knows about law. Law is to be enforced by the government. There are certain laws in the constitution. If anybody do not abide by the law, they will be punished appropriately by the according to the IPC sections. Whereas the morals, ethics, they are almost close. Morals are fundamental values, what we believe is right and wrong. And ethics are morals applied to a given situation, how to find the line between right and wrong. Etiquettes are in a very like politeness. It's more of like polite, agreed upon behaviors and rituals used to navigate social situations. For example, the etiquettes are like meeting etiquettes. Now I am speaking on this forum. The students may be listening to it, and students may switch on the camera, and they may unmute, and some people may mute, and they also unmute and speak themselves. Among themselves they can chat. These are etiquettes. The meeting etiquettes are not followed these days. The meeting etiquettes are so important. The entire globe, or in the particularly in our country, the education is going online, and unless we follow the meeting etiquette, the learning becomes very difficult. Non-complying to the meeting etiquettes will disturb the teacher, and the knowledge will not flow properly, and they cannot really gain the knowledge what is expected of from them. So what I request all the students attending this talk is that they should in toto follow the etiquettes of the online meetings. You can download the etiquettes, online meeting etiquettes. I also have the file. I can share if you want, but it's very important to follow the etiquettes of the meeting. And morals, of course, morals, general morals, one should speak truth, and one should not cheat others, and one should not rob others, one should not deceive others, and we should not expect others' properties. Several morals are there in our society. And ethics, coming to ethics, there is a very sharp line, a thin line between morals and ethics. And ethics have usually guidelines. There are only guidelines. Usually, people who do not comply with ethics are not punished by the government. Rather, ethics are very important for institutions. Unless one follows the ethics of the institute, the growth of the institute and the larger interest of the nation will not be complied, and it will affect the fellow employees and fellow students. So every student, with reference to science or learning, every student is supposed to follow the ethics of learning. Then only he can realize his dreams and also dreams of the nation. So what are ethics? In detail, what are ethics? Ethics are standards set for you to recognize your actions as right or wrong. It helps categorize discipline, honesty, and integrity in our actions performed during the day, acting as a guideline to influence behavior and making the right choice. It is easier for individuals to abide by rules and act responsibly with ethics in the society. See, if one knows ethics and morals, for example, if you're already trained in following ethics and morals, it is very easy for you to abide by the rules of the constitution, because you are mentally prepared. Yes, I should live like this. I should live with these morals. I should not speak a lie. I should always speak truth. I should not be violent. I should follow non-violence, and I should help less privileged people as much as possible. I should share things. I should give education to poor people. I should teach things if people are any required. Some poor students are there of people who are very low cognition levels. We should be able to help. These are morals and ethics. Once we are very thorough with these morals and ethics, how we should live and follow in this society, it becomes very easy for us to abide by the rules and follow the rules of the Indian Penal Code, IPC sections. And we don't attract any punishment, or we need not think about those things in the society. So that will give a peaceful society. Once we follow ethics and morals, it will ultimately lead to a peaceful society. A peaceful society will progress faster, and it will have very good humankind, and they help each other, and overall the nation will progress and entire globe will progress. The ethics for learning aims to prepare students for their future working life. See, we should underline this: future working life, by helping them to acquire skills. Acquiring skills is common in any college, any school. The motto of the education is acquiring skills, flow of knowledge and acquiring skills that allow them to carry out their professions, later professions, with autonomy and responsibility. See, if a person is not following the morals and ethics, after he takes up a profession, any profession, whether it's a serious, either a doctor, engineer, a chartered accountant, whatever it is, whatever profession, he need to be told what is to be done. He need to be told that he should come on time and complete his task. All these have to be told to the employee. That's a very pathetic situation. If you know, for example, if you know these morals and ethics, no need that your boss or your teacher need to tell you anything. You will be responsible. You work with autonomy. You think with autonomy, highly autonomous, and also you behave with responsibility. No, you don't need to tell. You don't need to be told. Rather, you can tell others who are not up to the mark. These are the advantages of being highly ethical at the early stage of learning. Of course, learning is a continuous process. A person is supposed to learn throughout his life. So what are the threats and what are the major causes of concern these days that are affecting the morals and ethics in the society? Number one is corruption, and of course privatization, and particularly with regard to the teacher and student I'm talking about, and teacher absenteeism in the schools, and also absence of value education in curriculum. These four things are plaguing the whole entire education system. For example, the corruption and the privatization, these two are not synonymous. They are different items to be discussed. Corruption and privatization I am discussing in the same slide. So increased number of students. You see earlier education used to be for very few people. Not all people used to go for education. People who are in villages, they used to do farming. Some people used to do the village crafts and all. They used to be engaged in that. They used to earn their livelihood and continue their entire life with those professions. Whereas these days, in modern days, everybody should become literate. Unless they become literate, they cannot utilize the services of the bank or any other financial transactions, or bringing up the children and giving education to children. All these requires education, very standard good education. So the number of students have also increased because of this reason, and all of them need a quality education. So these increased number of students and need for high quality education have stressed the government, and also they have stressed the admission process, and a textbook preparation and procurement, and imparting the education, proper education, examination and evaluation. See, these are the four. See, these are not limited to only these four topics, and the ethics and the following of the morals is not limited to these four, but mainly these four. For example, illegal collection of fees, or bribes in admission process is possible. And in the textbook preparation, one should give the assignment of preparing the textbook. What is the content of the textbook should be given to highly educated, not only highly educated, people who can understand the standard of the students should be given. And also the procurement of the books and then dispersal to the students. In these areas, unethical means are possible, not necessary that all schools, colleges are involved, but there is a possibility. And imparting good quality education, I will come to the next slide. I will go into more details of the imparting good education. And at the same time, examination and evaluation. See, in the examination evaluation also, there is a possibility of unethical means, leaking of the, you see in the newspapers, leaking of the examination papers for money and all. Many criminal kind of people who are not in the mainstream, they involve in these things. Even some of the employees are also involved. We know that, and these people ultimately they are punished by law and they go to jail, but they don't know the repercussions unless the ethics and morals are taught in the school. See, many times teacher informs we should not tell a lie. We should always speak truth. Very good. See, in the primary school, in any book it is there, and all posters are there on the walls of any school, that we should speak only truth always. It is very important to teach the student how not to speak a lie, how to tell a truth. There is a procedure and there are tastes. You should know the taste of telling truth. You should be given the taste of not telling lie. How brave one can be if a person is not involving a lie at every stage for a very small thing. In the scriptures, it is written that we should never tell a lie. It is some exceptions are there. You can tell a lie if you can save a life, or you can save your own life. You can tell a small lie. And also lying, there are some certain rules for telling lies also. When you while speaking truth too, when you speak a truth, you should speak truth in such a way other people are not hurt. You should speak, but speak the truth should not be so hurting others. So there are certain etiquettes and morals how to speak truth also. So one should read and follow those morals. So for example, because of the heavy pressure of increased number of students and quality of education, the privatization of colleges, schools, even the universities started. Of course, privatization have their own advantages, very good advantages are there, like branding, and they have heavy competition. Thus, they improve the quality of education, no doubt about that. But however, when it is privatized and goes to the corporates, most of the times they're profit making and they collect high, they have a high fee structure. At the same time, not that all the schools hire a very good qualified staff, teachers, and many times they may be low paid. And the salaries, if you see, some of the teachers' salaries may be delayed also. These are the places where we have to intervene and see the corrections are made so that the privatization and corporatization does not reduce the standard of education. Rather, we build a very good value-based human capital with ethical standards. I'll tell you some examples in the unethical means of involving unethical means in education, in imparting education. Practical experiments in physics, chemistry, biology. There may be some art students, maybe also there here, but mainly for science. The practical experiments are the most important part, because you know the for any budding scientist or student, an enthusiastic student thinks it is seeing is believing. You see, a small child, when he sees the rain, he knows the rain means waterfalls. When he sees the rain, how thrilling he looks. He jumps means he's seeing the rain. He knows what is rain, but when he sees rain, he jumps. So that is what is the seeing is believing, and the excitement of seeing and the excitement of science is the science, as you know, it is evidence based. Unless you see it, you don't feel that excitement. See, many of the schools, they are deprived of the laboratory space. They are deprived of the equipment for doing the laboratory experiments. The laboratory practical teachers may not be available. The consumables are not available. It's not that they cannot afford; they can afford. But in the race of in the rat race of getting IIT, NEET, whatever it is, engineering, whatever, doctor, I want to become that. I want to become this. One should appreciate a person who says that I want to become a responsible citizen of India. See, the responsible citizen of India includes everything. You follow morals, you follow ethics, you follow etiquette, you follow law in entirety, and you also take good knowledge, and you also learn in a perfect way. So the keeping the record book and verification of the record book, there is a big question mark how our schools are running. Particularly the schools which are giving coaching for engineering and medical. I'm not comparing all the schools. Some of the schools may be very good, excellent. They may be following all these things. But however, a few schools, the bright students are there. They are deprived of all these learning techniques, like laboratory experiment techniques. This will affect them a lot. Like vernier calipers, screw gauge, analytical balance. In our childhood, we studied in municipal schools, but we used to have a laboratory. Laboratory hours used to be there. Teacher used to teach us everything, analytical balance. The butterfly, for example, 4 stages of butterfly: the egg stage and larva, pupa, and adult. See, one should see those one can go out and see, but these days we don't see. There are no gardens. We are concrete. We are living in a concrete jungle. Where do you see the 4 stages of butterfly? Sodium chloride, for example, chemistry, for that matter. Sodium chloride is salt, common salt, which anybody can consume very safely. It makes any dish very tasty. But the background of sodium chloride, if you know, it will be very interesting for a student to know about science, and it inculcates the curiosity in the student. Sodium, you all may be knowing, chemistry students, sodium is a very dangerous metal. It is very soft and malleable metal, but when it comes into contact with water, it is very explosive. It fires, it catches fire. And at the same time, chlorine gas, Cl2, is a very toxic, highly toxic gas. With chlorine, one can be killed with chlorine gas. They will suffocate, and it's a fatal. Inhaling chlorine gas is a fatal. So sodium and chlorine individually, they're so dangerous. Whereas sodium and chlorine atoms, when they are connected with a bond, an ionic bond, they make a beautiful compound called common salt or sodium chloride, which we can consume. If you give this example by showing the sodium metal and chlorine gas, and also side by side, you show sodium chloride common salt, how exciting it would be for any science student. So we are depriving all these learning techniques in many of the colleges. This is really unethical. It is not, it is immoral, we can say. But nobody can punish. There is no, it's no need to punish. See, if we don't make our next generation up to the mark, if we cannot give our next generation good learning skills, we don't make them into a matured, responsible citizens, that itself is a punishment for us. Somebody was saying, see, going to jail is punishment given by the court or the police. It is a small punishment compared to the culprit who made his brain or mind so low, so down that he had to commit a crime. That is more punishment than being in the jail. That is how every citizen has to think, every teacher has to think, every student has to think, every national has to think and go forward. So in this absence of this kind of facilities, how a young student inculcate interest in science and explore curiosity-driven original research, who may become a promising scientist, a Nobel Prize winner, and who may give the best technologies in the world and competing with the entire gamma of other nations. So teacher absenteeism is another place where one should stress the kind of unethical means. We can see in many of the schools, teachers may come on time and they may start on time the classes. However, there are teachers who are absent. They may not take leave, still who may be absent. It generally happens in villages. Very unfortunately, the education villages is not that good, but now of late it may be improving. But the villages education is not that good. But the teacher absenteeism, doctor absenteeism is reported more in villages. So you see, the teachers are the role models for the students. You see, the primary school and even middle school, I don't know, but primary school, I remember, the student, the child, first, they may not imitate father and imitate mother, but they imitate teacher. They come back from school and take a chalk, take a board. There is no student, still they play teacher. See, the fascination to the teacher is so much, they always not only learn from teachers, they want to imitate teacher. So they imbibe the quality of the teachers in toto, they want to imbibe. So now from this example, you imagine how a teacher should be to the students. He is a real role model. He should be a real role model to the students. In rural areas, teachers are the most educated and also most respected. And in villages, the common public seek the advice of the teachers in any aspects, in many aspects, not only in imparting education, in improving the knowledge or transfer of knowledge, but also in their personal, in their career. In every village, you can see they go to the teacher and request any advice from the teacher. So teacher should be always a role model, and their professional traits, the teacher's professional traits, should be reflected not only at schools but also in their personal life. Not only in schools with children, they can say 6 hours, 5 hours, they can vary with a lot of force. They can be like gentlemen, they can be ideal, they can be very good, they can be excellent, they can be soft, they can impart good education. But even at their personal level, at home also, they should continue the same kind of dignity, same kind of compassion, same kind of love, same kind of overall national interest. So another important aspect of not following ethics is absence of value education in the curriculum. See, value education is included in the primary education, as we already discussed. Value education is the most important aspect, and which is we have already seen the quotes by Mahatma Gandhi and Swami Vivekananda, and also by Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. All of them stressed on value education, not just education of certificate, which will make you employable or lead your career or profession. Not only that, they went beyond that. A value education, they stressed on value education, which is of course included in primary education. You know, the EVS, one subject EVS teaches all good things, all morals, all ethics, everything. Later and most sensitive stage of building the career of youth, the curriculum finds no space to have this ethics and morals, because when they come to high school, the pressure builds, the rat race builds the pressure. IIT or NIT, IIT, or doctor, engineer, whatever it is, you see a lot of the prestige, the rank. You see the private institutions, they pressure the students in the ranking. You see all the students in the corporate colleges, they pay the same amount of fee, but please see the situation in the colleges. Some of the cream of the students are taught separately by the best teachers, whereas other students who are not attending, not that attending very carefully, not keen, they put them in a different class, and the teachers attending to them are not that standard. Many people have reported to the college, but they don't care, because they care for their ranks. So how many ranks they get, the best ranks? They care only about those students who give them rank. The education of the remaining students is just not attended. Is it ethics? Is it moral? Nothing. This is not maintained. Morals and ethics are not maintained. Even though the student is paying the same amount of the fees, their discrimination is there. Discrimination of, this is the most unacceptable unethical means of treating different students with different kind of attitude. Though they pay the same fee, not only they pay the same fee, they're as promising as any student who is desired to become a responsible citizen of the nation. So as a result, when you put so much of pressure for their career and profession, there are no values in the system, education system. They can handle the success very easily, whereas handling failure becomes very difficult, and they utterly fail in handling the failure, which is the very important part of the education. See, teaching how to handle a failure is more important, because that is where the dangers are involved. Handling success, there is no danger. You celebrate, you go to next level, and you take people along with you, is a success. You take other people, all people come around you when you are successful, easy to handle. Whereas when you fail, people go away from you. People don't appreciate you. People may comment on you. People may not be happy with you. That situation is very difficult. To handle that failure situations, value education is the most important thing. So coming to the science, I have some time to.
Yes, you have around 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll complete within 5 minutes. Pursuit of, coming to science, even science, doing science also, there is an interaction between science and teacher and a student. See, a person who is doing PhD, who will become a doctorate in science, is also involved in 5 to 6 years taught by the PhD guide. I can tell you the PhD time, 5 years time, is the most important time for any student to learn from the PhD guide how they behave, how they teach, how to analyze, how to make his career. The entire 5 years is the most important part of their prime time they spend in the laboratory, and they not only learn the techniques related to their profession and their PhD, but also they should learn the morals, ethics, etiquettes, and also they should become a responsible citizens later on. So usually the science, whenever somebody says science, the science is curiosity-driven inquiry, which is pursued with high degree of passion, and it is essentially a search for truth, and which is self-motivated. See, these are the criteria for doing good science and technology. Whereas the person who is pursuing science with these attributes do not look for promotion, may not look for recognition, awards and rewards, and fundraising for research. He will somehow fund, but there is not much competition, and publication, patent, and building the CV. See, these days, the science is not necessarily pursued with passion, because the science is done in the institutes, in organizations. When a scientist joins in an organization or an institute, they are bound to have promotions. They usually look for recognition, awards, rewards, fundraising for research, publications, all these areas, starting from promotion and all these areas, unethical means are there is a possibility of following unethical means. I don't want to discuss too much on these things because the time is not much. In promotion, for example, you for the promotion you write the CV, you fill up the form. You can oversell your qualifications. You can oversell your work, what you have done. That is unethical means. Recognition, in order to get better recognition, awards and rewards, you will cook the data. And for fundraising, for the same thing, cook the data. Publications, plagiarism may be there. And you will give the references, referees, your friends as a referees. There are several unethical means which will fetch you a promotion, recognitions, fundraising, and publications. And the main reason for these what you call unethical means is shortcut to success. See, in aspiring to success with shortcuts and aspiration of less meritorious to raise higher in profession, and mismatch between institutional goals and competence of the employees. If the mismatch is there, the employee try to involve in all these things: plagiarism, publishing in a predatory journals, which is not worth, and manufacture of data. So these will lead to bad science, and it will not bring out the truth, which actually otherwise science is supposed to be search for truth, but the truth will never come, the facts will never come, and the substandard things will come out. So what is the way forward? This is the last slide I'm showing. The way forward is include moral and ethical values in the curriculum at every stage of the education. Provide value orientation, and demystify excessive focus on materialism and consumerism. See, the entire world is plaguing with materialism and consumerism. You consume more, you buy more, consume more. You buy more materials, and you think that material is giving us the happiness, which is not true. You see the most happiest countries, they are not involved in too much of materialism and consumerism. They are built on values. They are built on values, ethics. Because of that reason, they are happy. You don't see that most of the time. Advanced countries, the economically developed countries, not necessarily are happiest countries. You can see. Then conduct programs on values such as personal values, social values, cultural values, family values, national values, and spiritual values. Earlier in our studies, when we were doing intermediate and all, there used to be NCC, National Cadet Corps, NSS, National Service Scheme, like that thing. People used to go together, and there used to be some kind of discipline. They used to learn how to behave with people, how to be disciplined, how to help each other, how to involve in service. And then they learn cultural values, spiritual values, everything. They read books. A lot of intermingling of different classes of students is there. Now you go to school, come back to not much of sports are also there. So not much of mingling of different economically different status students are not mingling completely. They segregate. People start segregating. That will reduce the values. And also develop community-oriented activities and discuss social issues and their solutions. Teachers are respected by the society in terms of facilities and remuneration. See, all teachers, irrespective of primary school, college, university, a teacher is a teacher. He should be respected. Utmost respect should be given to him. in terms of facilities and also remuneration. Then only good teachers will come for, and not only good teachers, the teacher, whoever is there, even people, the general public also will tend to give respect, because these days the people give respect by the kind of house he's staying, the kind of car he's using. See, money is playing a very major role because of the low ethical values. So to overcome this, teacher should be in a comfortable position. He should earn a respectable salary. Then it's like a ladder. The teacher position will improve, and the respect he commands from the students also improve. And also they should be, in turn, they should serve as inspiring and guiding person. They should have love and compassion towards students and the entire community. And training in social conduct inculcate the values in daily life, how to manage the daily life, and control of emotions, compassion leading to responsible, socially acceptable citizen should be the part of the curriculum. So I will not be ethical, rather I will be unethical if I don't cite from where all this information I have received. The entire information, most of the information is taken from a book, a wonderful book titled as Ethics in Science Education, Research and Governance, edited by K. Muralidhar, Amit Ghosh, A.K. Singhvi, and published by Indian National Science Academy, INSA, New Delhi. And of course, I also consulted several internet sites, and my colleagues, Ms. Ambika and Dr. Pradosh Chakravarti, also helped me in checking these slides and giving me some suggestions. The entire the talk, I am pleased to dedicate this to all the teachers, from not only my primary teachers to my PhD guide, and still there may not be designated as a teacher, but day-to-day life, minute to minute, we learn from somebody. He becomes a teacher, or she becomes a teacher. So this talk is dedicated to not only my teachers, the entire teaching community. And I thank you all. I once again wish you all a happy Teachers' Day on 5th September 2021. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrasekharan, for giving such enlightenment talk in such a lucid manner. I request my co-panelist, Dr. Sudhir, to take up certain questions which have been shared by the attendees through the chat section.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandrasekharan, for this enlightening talk on a topic which is so much relevant in today's context, particularly in teaching learning processes. So, sir, you started with various quotes by Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Swami Vivekananda ji, Mahatma Gandhi ji, which emphasize the importance of education beyond mere transfer of knowledge. Then you talked about the difference between morals, ethics, etiquettes, and law, and you certainly talked about the importance of practical experiments, taking a simple example of like sodium chloride, which talk about emergent properties in especially in biological science, which we call about. And you also talked about the reference of Professor Kambadur Muralidhar's book, who has been fortunately one of my teacher during my post-graduation. So I'm really delighted to see his name in your slides as well. Sir, with due permission, I would like to just take a few questions from the chat box. If you just permit, can I start?
Sure. Shall I start sharing or?
Yeah, you can stop sharing. Yeah. So the first question by Miss Anita is here, and she is asking why is ethics issue important in science and technology in particular?
Yeah. In one of my slides, I spoke about science, ethics in science. For example, a person is pursuing a serious science, and he is pursuing with investing a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of sincerity and honesty, and also investing all his good attributes as a curiosity driven scientist. There is another scientist who is also a good scientist and not so good in following ethics, and both may be doing the similar experiments. The person who is following ethics perfectly ethics, he will take some time to publish the paper and also to have the recognition. Whereas the person who is not following ethics, he will do some kind of plagiarism. For example, plagiarism is he will not write the paper in his own words, and he will also quote somebody's statements as his own and improve the quality of the paper and also cook the results. He will not really do the experiments, but cook the results and the data, that is manufacture of data. So he manufactures it, and this person who is not following perfectly unethical, he already published, he sent to a journal, it has been reviewed and it has been published already in a very good journal. So what the person who is following all the ethical means feeling? Okay, let us say that sometime after some time the reality will come out definitely, because there are several committees who will take care of these ethics, and this man already get promotion. The person who is ethically doing the science, he is not getting promotion. But at the later, when the committees find out what are the manufactured data, this paper will be retracted. The journal will retract this paper, and he might have got the promotion, but it is very difficult to demote him. It's not that easy. But the most affected person is who is following the ethics. So these, I'm talking only about following ethics in publication. But when untruth is published, that is the bad thing, not only for the nation, but the entire scientific community. It is bad, because based on that paper, the falsified information, another person will see that literature and try to go forward based on that. See the how much disaster it will happen. So 10 of the other people, they'll waste their time pursuing some research based on this false paper. So this is how it affects the entire scientific community when in science and technology, if one does not follow ethical means. I hope I answered your question. If there is any particular aspect of the question, I can answer.
Right, sir. So let's move ahead with another question, which is being asked by Ms. Babita. And she's asking, in this pandemic situation, how teachers should deal with the students when they simply open up the systems and don't join the online classes? I think the question pertains to ethical issues with respect to students.
Yeah. Actually, here teachers' role is major, but it is as major as that of parents. Parents should instruct the child to attend the class in a fashion as if you are attending really in physically. You should prepare like you are going to a school. It is no, except uniform may not be there, except that you should prepare your mind and body as good as you are preparing to attend the class physically. Then the preparedness will come, the sincerity will come, and he will not only unmute the audio and mute whenever teacher instructs, and he will switch on the video, which is very important, because for a presence, to see the presence of the student, he should switch on the video and then attend the class and be attentive. At the same time, an ideal teacher should be able to engage the student throughout the class. How they will engage? For example, the teacher will be able to engage when they give wonderful examples, good examples, live examples, and interesting examples. See, reading and just pushing a lot of knowledge, pushing a lot of theory continuously in a flow, it becomes a boredom to the students. There are teaching skills are there. You see, while teaching one aspect, you tell a small story related to that. Connect with a story, connect with a person, connect with the animal. Then you will be able to engage the entire students community and throughout the class. So these are the teaching skills, actually training of trainers. You see, there are 100 aspirational districts entire the country. The government has identified 100 aspirational districts who are not so advanced. So we have a program training of the trainers. So these teachers should be trained properly that how to engage the student community, how to impart the knowledge in ethical means, and how to engage them in a class without the students being disturbed out of boredom. Naturally, you see, it is very difficult. Young people, their mind will be wavering. A small disturbance, they'll go away. So first few people, for example, first 10 students, You don't have to ask them to be engaged. They will be always engaged because they have interest. They have their own self motivation. Whereas last 10 people, teacher has to put more effort on last 10 people. See, that is going to build the entire nation. I hope I could answer or.
Right, sir. So the next question is by Mr. Gangasagar, and he's asking why education is important for everyone on earth. Why most of the people only follow the path of formal education without understanding?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question actually. See, the present human tendency is education is whether you pass 10th class or intermediate, degree, doctorate, or engineer, or you're a PhD. That is the degree actually. That is certificate. It is not education. Education is inclusive. Education is inclusive of all these ethics, morals, etiquette, law abiding. All these include education actually. Education is not certificate. Unfortunately, the system, as I told you, see, there are always bright patches, green patches will be there, but most of the times we have to overcome, and we have to put a lot of effort. We have to invest a lot of time to transform the teaching community or the education system such that it is realized that the education is not the certificate. Education is inclusive. It should transform a student into a fully matured, a responsible citizen. You see, a doctor is only a doctor. An engineer is only an engineer. But a responsible citizen, it is inclusive of everything. He could be a doctor, he could be an engineer, he could elevate people, he can teach people, he can inspire people, he can be a role model. See, we have several personalities like that. Dr. Abdul Kalam, see, our former president, what is his initial, where did he study, what is his background, and what is he at the fag end of his life. See, a living example is here. How much morals he followed, how much ethics he lived with. Not only one, several people are there who live like that, and who kept not only their head up, the entire nation's head they kept up. So that's how one has to live. So people who are learned, they have to invest their time to imbibe these things in schools. One we need to go to the schools and colleges and teach them. But unfortunately, the privatization does not allow us to do too much. But they are also doing their part. I have seen they invite people to give lectures on these ethics and morals, and also the kind of HR, human resource development lectures are being given in schools. There is some improvement is there, but still we need a lot to be done. A lot is to be done.
There's another question by Ms. Shashi, and she's asking, do you think if we evolve as a truly ethical society, we would no longer be in need of any authority for governing us?
Yeah, this is also a good question. But actually, for anything, the perfect and ideal situation is it will not reach. Any system will never reach an ideal situation. Even though there is an ideal situation, if one incident is there, one incident of finding immoral or unethical, we cannot expect in which corner of the country, in which corner of the city, in which corner of the entire globe, the crime or the unethical or immoral thing is happening. We don't know in which corner. So that one incident warrants the entire police system and the entire defense system is warranted. It is required, even though we need, of course, perfect situation is very unlikely to get. Even though we are close to the ideal situation, still we need it, because unexpectedly, suddenly a rally is taking place. One person who is very calm and quiet till then, suddenly he becomes mad or he starts a disturbance. We need immediately a police force of about 50, 100 people. From where they will come if we don't employ? So the police force is to watch. It's not that every day. See, in military also, all the time they don't involve in defending the country. See, you can see in the cities also they are there. Their colonies are there. They are involved in peacekeeping within the city also. For example, floods are there, or any natural disasters are there. The army will go and help them. So the multi-purpose, the army and these defense people are multi-purpose. They can be utilized in the services to defend the nation at the borders, and also for the internal disturbances. Same is the case with the police. See, the beauty is, there is a saying, if there is no police system, if there is no society, everybody is corrupt. Everybody is known to become corrupt. If there is no police and there is no society. See, your originally is how you behave when you are alone in a room, when nobody is watching you, nobody is policing you, how you behave. You are that is your ideal and real person. If you are in the society, anybody can act. I can act as a very gentleman, a fine gentleman. I can act for 8 hours. When I go home, I can do whatever I want. So your originality comes out when you are alone with your phone or with your gadget. How you behave, what you watch, what you see, what you are looking, what is your like. See this Facebook, Twitter and all, how you like, what you like, depends on, you see, your one's attributes, one's character, what is your interest, what is your disinterest. We can see where he is liking, which items he is liking, which post he is liking. It has become very easy. The social media has made our jobs very easy. The kind of likes he is going for will tell his character. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have taken all the question. The last question which has just popped up, I'm just taking that last question, and it's by Dr. Aryan Amar, who's asking how ethical teaching can be taken into account for students of high classes where syllabus is more and level is also so high.
Ethical, how to take ethical classes, right?
Yeah, I'm just repeating. He's asking how ethical teaching can be taken into account for students of high classes where syllabus is more as well as level is high.
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, I have already one of the slides I have mentioned this, because the ethical the lessons on ethical and morals are there already there in the curriculum in primary school, whereas in later stages in high school and all, where the competition becomes very tough. Actually, competition in the sense to build their career and to choose their way, which profession they should go. They spend most of the time in that angle. So there is less time to take special classes on value education. But still, it is a government policy. Actually, it's a government policy. Government, of course, government always encourages everybody to be ethical and moral. There are several sources. You see, you need not see education system, classroom learning is one thing. See, everything you need not learn from classroom. See, you have parents, you have brothers, you have sisters, you have neighbors. You see, you have books with you, you have internet with you. If you really want to learn, there sky is the limit. If you want to learn, there are a lot of gadgets. So you Google it, you will get what is ethics, what is. You see how I presented today. You see, nobody taught me all these things. I have taken from the Google search. I have taken a book. I read. I consulted my friends. This is how, you see, when I could teach. I could learn and teach. These are the things to be done. For learning, it is very easy. You have a lot of ways to learn. Only thing is one should have a mind to learn it. Of course, it is important to have in the curriculum too. It is important to have curriculum too. And one 15 minutes class, 20 minutes class is enough to impart good ethics kind of things. And when you actually, these ethics are only guidelines, unlike laws which are enforced by government. Ethics are like a guidelines. They are just guidelines one should follow by their own consciousness. These morals and ethics are to be followed with consciousness. Of course, if they are taught, it is very good. But if they are not taught also, your consciousness should decide what is moral and immoral. It will be known very easily for you what is good and what is bad for you. We always do what is not good, what we like we do. Anybody does what he likes, not what is good for him. We eat sweet, so we know sweet is not good, but we like sweet, we eat sweet, and we become diabetic. It's something like that. Diabetic and sweet is not, the diabetes doesn't come because of sweet. Just I'm telling example.
Thank you so much, sir. I think all the queries have been taken up very correctly by you. And let me just hand over the virtual platform to Dr. Manoj Saxena to please propose the vote of thanks.
Thanks a lot, Sudhir. Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrasekharam, for accepting our invitation and being part of this school outreach program. The very motive of the school outreach program has been, I'll say now it has been fulfilled, where you have been talking about ethics in science, ethics in education, ethics in teaching. Maybe the students of class 9th and 10th, because they haven't studied this kind of topic or subject earlier, they would have definitely felt a bit different enlightenment today when they have listened to all these things. And the book which you have discussed, it's also freely accessible. I'll be sharing the link of that book with all the attendees as well as the students and teachers so that they can go through it. And somehow, if it's like a book reading, so if they can introduce this topic in schools at a very basic class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, then by the time they will reach to graduation, they would have been completely thorough with all the ins and outs and the suggestions which have been made in that particular book. So thank you very much, sir. And on behalf of the Deen Dayal Upadhyaya College and the National Academy of Sciences India Delhi chapter, I would like to thank you once again. And also to my co-panelist, Dr. Sudhir Verma and Ms. Shweta Vadera, for being there with us. And special thanks to all the attendees, the students, the teachers who have been there with us all throughout. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ramit. Thank you.
Thank you.